Welcome to CasualBCH. In this episode, myself and Cheap Lightning discuss Bitcoin Cash, its history, and how we got into crypto. And we'll begin with Cheapy.
Hello, everyone. Hello, lovely listeners. I'm Cheapy. I've been in the space since 2011. I read an article online. I had heard about Bitcoin before, but I just immediately assumed that it was going to be like e-gold or whatever the precursors were, which is, any kind of digital money can be copied. Back in the old MMORPG games, like Ultima Online, etc., there was always some kind of gold dupe exploit bug that people could figure out, and then always what ended up happening was the economy would get wrecked because people would have infinite amounts of gold, and then they would create some new currency, and just problem after problem. So I heard about Bitcoin. I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. This is a scam. It's not going to work. And then in 2011, I think it was Wired magazine or some similar website had an article that was titled something to the effect of Bitcoin, the most disruptive technology we've ever seen, I think. And I read it, and I was immediately blown away by what I read. And then, of course, read the white paper. And I'm not a coder. Like, I studied a little bit in high school and college, programming back in the QBasic and C++. I don't even think it was C++, C++ days. Back when we were doing COBOL in the nuclear reactor, and so I could figure out the gist of it, and I was like, oh, okay, this guy, this Nakamoto guy, he's really figured out how to solve this problem. You can't copy it, right? I don't remember exactly when I started my store. I think it was 2007 or 2008, I think. And so I already had a few years of online merchant experience, and dealing with credit cards and PayPal and all those sorts of things. Right away, you encounter all of these problems with legacy finance that I'm sure that everyone is aware of. So immediately I was like, okay, well, I gotta get on this, and downloaded the Core wallet, which I think was the only wallet at the time. And Gavin had a faucet, so thank you, Gavin Andreessen. You very generously gave me my first sats, and played with it, and it was very obviously a real thing. It worked. I told everyone I know about Bitcoin, and the potential that I thought it had to change the world, which is skipping ahead a bit, which is why I'm still interested in Bitcoin Cash. I think most of the problems in the world are, of course, connected to money. Without money, you wouldn't have a war, right? You would have guys punching each other, and it would end in one night. And so if you really want to improve the world, and it's essential for humanity to survive, we have to get off of this rock at some point, and spread out to the stars. And I really think that the only way to do that is to free the market from all of these forces, which are, let's just say, selfish. Yeah, so I told everyone I know about this Bitcoin thing, and of course, everyone I talked to said, no thanks, it's a scam, it's too much trouble, etc. Except for one friend of mine, who saw saw the light and the potential, and we decided it would be smart for us to mine. This is 2011. The price of Bitcoin had shot up from like 30 cents to like $5 or something, which at the time was, a huge jump. And I really thought that there was, so much potential for this project that we decided to start mining. But at the same time, I thought, well, this is still unproven technology as far as like global adoption goes, etc. I've still felt the potential for risk, and in hindsight, I wish I had taken all of the money that I put into mining and just bought Bitcoin directly. I would have, I would not be talking to you now. I'd be sitting on the beach somewhere in
On your own
my
island.
mansion. Yeah, on my own island, in my mansion made out of diamonds. Um,
Emeralds.
but emeralds, emeralds. Thank you. Yes. Uh, but I'm a bit I guess pragmatic, and so we decided that well, worst case scenario, we'll have some GPUs. So GPU mining was just starting at that point. You could still mine on a CPU, but it was there was not much hope. And there's a little bit. I think it was like the first GPU gold rush. ATI cards were the cards. I think they're like 5090s or something, for you people who remember the dark ages. Um, and I do love video games, so obviously having a bunch of GPUs is not going to really make me sad if Bitcoin dies. So yeah, we bought a bunch of GPUs, and we started mining. Where Bitcoins were coming in. I don't remember how much we were making, but Bitcoins were coming in, and then things were good. I was happy to buy things online with the Bitcoins that I was earning. Very very famously, the Bitcoin pizza, of course, was like 10,000 Bitcoins. By that point, I think I spent 4 or 5 Bitcoins on like a Wi-Fi adapter, which I needed, so that's good. But in hindsight, of course, it would have been better to not have spent it. However, I don't feel bad about it, because if nobody spent anything and everybody just hodled, there would be no economy, there would be no value, uh, and so that's fine. But when everything really died, for us, was Butterfly Labs. I'd been scammed a few times before that as well, but Butterfly Labs was really what hurt the most, because we decided, once ASICs started to come out, we decided that we needed to up our game, and in order to do that, buy ASICs. And I think the only really of there was Avalon or something.
They were one, yeah.
It was, yeah, I don't know. It was a long time ago. I'm getting history is fading away, but they accepted Bitcoin, so we spent a bunch of our Bitcoin to get Butterfly Labs miners, and of course that was like the absolutely worst decision we could have made, because they super delayed, and they used them for mining themselves until they were no longer profitable, and then they shipped them out, and we got them, and they were already, like, the fans were covered in dust and stuff. It was it was a scam. It was a straight up scam. And then shortly after that, there was Mount Gox, and we got goxed as well. So that was kind of the nail in the coffin, as far as our Bitcoin business at the time. But I still accepted Bitcoin in my store. Really, with Gox, the price crashed, and I thought, well, the project is probably going to live or die based on this era, and I was a little bit depressed about being double scammed, and so I decided to take a step back and really not focus on Bitcoin stuff anymore. Still accepted in my store. Sales still came in from time to time, people buying stuff with Bitcoin, and I was happy to accept it, and just held it. And then fast forward to I guess 2016 or 2017, and I got an email from customer, and they were really upset because the fee was higher than the cost of the item, or the same cost as the item they were buying from my store, and I'm trying to scam them or rip them off or something like that. And so I replied, oh no, I'm really sorry. Of course, Bitcoin transaction fees are low. It must be some setting with my plugins. I'll check it out and I'll get back to you. and there was nothing wrong with my plugins. In the years that had passed, somehow Bitcoin had stopped scaling, and fees were getting up to the not only dollars but tens of dollars. And I thought, well, how can this be? I before I was able to do transactions with zero fees. There was some amount of block space that was like dedicated to zero fee transactions or something. So what is going on? What's going on with this
So,
internet money?
so at this
Yep.
point, have you not really been involved with like the online communities, or were you like
Yeah,
doing the online stuff?
I was on Bitcoin Talk since I got into Bitcoin. Was involved up until Gox, and then after Gox, I would check in every once in a while just to see what was sort of going on. But I didn't spend any real like dedicated time. It's just like, okay, what's the front page right now? And there was like the Wall Observer post, I think was the like, it's probably still going on. I don't know. The
Okay.
Wall Observer post was like the price chat. Yeah, I would check it out from time to time, but was not at all involved in what was going on, and certainly didn't think that my opinion would add anything to the conversation, because who am I? I'm not a computer science genius. I'm just a guy who sells old Nintendo stuff. But
So then you started
yeah,
looking
once
into it.
yeah, exactly. So Bitcoin as I knew it was broken, and I couldn't understand how that happened. And that's when I really started reading up on what was going on. Like I remember hearing before that like Satoshi had left, and I remember I had to update my. I was running a node as well. Back when like Bitcoin Core had nodes built in, because it was a wallet and a node and a miner all together in one software, right? And I remember having to update because there's like an emergency hard fork. But beyond that, like I wasn't really paying attention until it was actually like broken. And yeah, I started reading and just was immediately confused by what I was reading. The rhetoric and the fighting and the hard forks are bad, and Chinese miners are evil, and lightning will fix everything, and and really confused. Started reading on Reddit. I don't think I really joined in the conversation or the fight. I was just trying to figure out what was going on. And people like Gavin and Mike Hearn had really logical arguments, and there were people like Singularity and Molecular and Free Trader, and other people, Beijing Bitcoins, were making these arguments online that really made sense to me, and then the other side of it just made no sense to me whatsoever. Like I understand upgrading stuff can be dangerous because it can break things. Like I understand that, but if you successfully test stuff well in advance, it shouldn't be an issue. And was just so confused by the resistance that I was reading about. And then I don't remember exactly what the turning point was. I think it was probably something that Singularity had written on Reddit that really convinced me that big blocks is the way to go, and started running XT node. Not long after started running the XT node, I was DDoSed, and I'm not sure if it took out the internet for my whole neighborhood, but it definitely did for my entire apartment building. Of course, I didn't admit to knowing what was going on, but there's a lot of very unhappy people. But sorry, guys, if you're listening to this now, that was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, our connection was just saturated until I stopped running XT node. I couldn't get back online, and of course, I need email, etc., for my business. So it was a successful attack. Like they were, whoever was doing these DDoS attacks, they succeeded, at least did in connection to my node. I stopped running XT, and then after the fork, I was running BU for a while until I decided that there really isn't much point
Hmm.
in running my own node
So,
if I'm not mining. Sorry, yes.
just to clarify for anybody that's
Yep.
brand new,
Yep.
XEBU were alternative versions to the Bitcoin node software. So I believe they were enforcing like higher block limits, and like each one had its own little thing, but it was almost like a vote against keeping blocks 1 megabyte.
Yeah, XT, if I remember correctly, and I'm sure it's the internet, so people will definitely correct me if I'm wrong. I think XT had some code in it that said that whatever date activate basically larger blocks, and I think it was doubling on a schedule. I'm not 100% sure. And then I think BU similarly. Well, of course, Bitcoin Unlimited. I think they had some code for unlimited block size. I don't remember if it was on a schedule and if it was like increasing exponentially over time until it got to unlimited. I don't know, but anyway, it was basically a vote. Like I'm voting to go for large blocks as opposed to constraining to 1 megabyte blocks, which was of course at the time full and saturated, and that's why fees were $10 and more. That was another big part of it, was the censorship. So our Bitcoin and Bitcoin Talk, like anyone who expressed an opinion about big blocks was getting censored and banned, and all just kind of shenanigans, which I thought was like, this is not this is not the way to win a battle for the new economy. It should be open, honest discussion, not these sort of dirty tactics. And unfortunately, for the big blockers, as Emergent often says, I think you name as well. We brought a laptop to a gunfight. There was the high road. The big blockers were definitely taking the high road, trying to be reasonable. And I think the small blockers, at least certainly some of them, had an agenda and were completely willing to do anything necessary to win, which includes things that are not particularly honest. And I think banning and censoring people is part of that. So, yeah, so that's how I ended up in the big block camp. At the time, there was SegWit 2x, and then there was also Bitcoin Cash wasn't a thing. I think the 2x fork was the initial big block fork, but there was some kind of bug in it. And then very quickly after that, Bitcoin Cash took over. And I remember thinking at the time, oh, I'm doing some other thing now, and being very confused, and then having to switch nodes, etc. And then, Bitcoin Cash was still very new, but the guys at bitcoin.com and the Bitcoin Unlimited and several other people started the Satoshi's Vision conference. So this is, of course, before SV was a thing in Tokyo. And I decided to go, even though again, was just a guy selling stuff. I had skin in the game, but I'm not a developer. I didn't have a big project or anything like that. So yeah, I decided to go to the conference in Tokyo. And I guess it really changed my life. I met all kinds of very important people that I'm still good friends with today. I met my wife there. Yeah, really, really life-changing experience. It wasn't like some kind of like spiritual awakening or anything like that. There's a difference between talking to people online and this sort of ephemeral internet thing versus being in a room with people and having actual discussions and eating really delicious chocolate chip cookies together. Uh, yeah, it was fantastic. A lot of those people are no longer with us. I don't mean dead. They've gone on to other projects. Yeah, it all in all, it was amazing. And to be quite honest, until that conference, I wasn't sure about Craig Wright. I thought that there was a chance that he may have been involved in the Bitcoin project. At that time, he there was the rumor that Satoshi Nakamoto was actually a team of people, and that he was somehow involved. And I thought, maybe. But at the conference, when he came out running to Metallica, and just started saying nonsense on the stage, which, and I'm not a technical person, made no sense to me as far as how something would be possible. He said something like, and if you are not honest, we'll ban you, as far as like people doing transactions or mining or something. And it made no sense to me. And then Peter Eisen raised his hand and said, before you said that we'll ban you, how is that possible? And he couldn't answer the question. And I was like, oh, okay, this guy is just smoke and mirrors. So yeah, really good that conference. So all the guys who put that on, I think Bitcoin Unlimited was probably the main organizers. I'm not 100% sure, but thank you very much for putting that on. That changed everything, and it was really the Satoshi's Vision conference that made me decide to do the Osaka meetup and see if there's people we could get together locally, and again that spiraled and met all kinds of wonderful people and was really a life changing thing.
Is that something you're still
And
doing
then
now?
no, COVID basically killed that. We've done a few. We were doing them monthly, and then we were doing them every 2 weeks. And then COVID happened, and everything shut down. Same with the rest of the world.
Pretty much, yeah.
Um, Pretty much, and lots of venues and places closed their doors forever. The main place that we always did our meetups is still open. They still accept BCH, but their hours seem to be quite random now. I think maybe the owner has a different business as well, and so a few times that we've done meetups, we've gone there on a regular Wednesday or Thursday or Friday night, and they've been closed. So we've had to find alternative places, unfortunately. And since COVID, we've really been focusing on stuff online. Yeah, we've done a few meetups, especially when we hear that people are coming to town from the community, and I'll get a message, and they'll be like, hey, is there a meetup? And I'll just say no, but we can make one, and then we'll get a bunch of people together. So it's not a regular thing. We still do them, but it's not on a regular schedule anymore.
So that gets you up to current day, let's say?
Not really.
Okay.
We're just getting started.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, so did the meetup, started meeting people, and of course, as you meet people, things just continue to grow. Your network expands, etc. So, of course, I met Akane from the Tokyo meetup at the Satoshi Vision conference. She probably doesn't remember that, but that's the first time we met. I met Roger for the first time at the Satoshi Vision conference as well. Met lots of people. Met Emergent Reasons at the Osaka meetup. Of course, now we're really good friends. Yeah, as you meet people, we're all sort of working towards the same goal. So, I was asked if I could help. There used to be something called the Bitcoin Cash Association. I was, they sent us a bunch of T-shirts and stickers and stuff, and then they found out that I have a lot of experience shipping things, and so they asked if I would take care of shipping goods to different meetups around the world. And so soon my living room was just filled with BCH T-shirts and stickers, and then I was distributing them around the world. That through that process, I met Monica and other people. And as you do things, it just expands and expands. And then Satoshi's Angels was formed, and they asked me if I do some work for them. And so I was doing, odd jobs when necessary, designing some flyers and stuff like that. And then they asked me if I'd help with the news. And so then I started editing the news and then writing the news, and was also doing the Bitcoin Cash network discussions, arranging that, participating in that, sometimes emceeing that, editing and uploading those videos, making the ELI5 documents for those. Also, around that time, this is a few years ago now, everything's melting together, but I noticed that there really wasn't a moderator in the BCH Telegram channel during my time zone. I think everyone was in the States at the time, and so there was just a constant stream of spam, etc. when I was awake. And so I asked the owner, who was Colin, said, "Hey, do you need another mod? Happy to clean up some of this junk." And he made me a mod, and so I've been a mod since then. I don't know, it's been 2-3 years now. I don't know how many Telegram channels I'm a moderator of now, but it's a lot. This is all volunteer as well. Also felt there's a need for, I think, as sort of famous, the meme is someone, right? It started out as just a meme because people would constantly write in the groups, someone should blah blah blah. Everyone is waiting for daddy to do the thing, whatever the thing is. And there is no daddy, there is no government, there is no authority figure who's going to do the things that need to be done. And everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people are doing the best that they can. The BCHN guys are rocking it, and GP guys are rocking it, podcast guys are rocking it. But there's still lots of other things that need to be done. And a lot of these little things fall through the cracks because nobody has the time or bandwidth to do them. And so I started the Bitcoin Cash Foundation just to pick up some of these pieces of things that get missed or not prioritized by people who have more skills than I do. And so I'm constantly looking for websites that have Bitcoin Cash represented by the wrong logo or the wrong name, and then contacting those people on behalf of the bitcoincashfoundation.org, to let them know that they should update their thing. And also working on, of course, the news now. I've folded the news under the BCHF, so the weekly news is still me, but it's just under a different banner now. And decided to also start doing weekly news videos as well. And so please check those out. Please subscribe, like, share, uh,
Where
all
can
of
they do
those
that?
things. Bitcoincashfoundation.org has links, but if you just search for Bitcoin Cash Foundation on YouTube, you should be able to find it. And while I'm sure most people say, please like, subscribe, whatever, to increase their revenue, there's no ads on our videos. When I say please like and subscribe, it's really just to expand reach. So if Bitcoin Cash is going to succeed to become money for the world, people need to know it exists. And the way to do that is by sharing the knowledge of it. So there's a lot of really great explainer introduction videos that are on YouTube, made by people like GP and the podcast. Please share those things as well. There's a lot of things that need to be done by people who are technically competent, that have special skill sets. But there's even more things that need to be done by anyone. Anyone can do it. Anyone can share this information. Anyone can create memes. Anyone can create content. And even if you can't create something, you can certainly spread awareness, and that's by sharing this information, which is created by other people. If you can create content and information, please do so. But if you feel like you can't, or you're shy or whatever, then please share the information that's being spread by other people, because it will certainly help get more people on the same wavelength. And we need all the people. So please share. And I guess that's probably basically where we are today. There's quite a few things that I want the BCHF to do, and plan on expanding things. So one thing, for example, is It's not live yet. There's sort of a placeholder up on bitcoincashfoundation.org, but I will be distributing Bitcoin Cash accepted here stickers to the world. And so what you will be able to do, hopefully very soon, less within this month, I think, is you will be able to go to the Bitcoin Cash Foundation .org, and if you have a store anywhere in the world that accepts Bitcoin Cash, you can go to the store that's on bitcoincashfoundation.org and add stickers to your cart, and there's no cost. It's absolutely free. So you have to make an order just so I can collect your address, etc., to know where to send the stickers to. And then once you complete the order, I will mail you some Bitcoin Cash accepted here stickers for free to anywhere in the world.
That's pretty
So
sweet.
if you're a merchant, yeah, please keep that in mind. I have several different versions of stickers now, only in two languages, English and Spanish. A few different styles and sizes, so there are some options. I will limit people to just. I'm not sure. I have to check the weight. There's a weight limit for letter mail, but I think it'll probably be about 3 stickers. So that'll be your limit. But I'm happy to send them anywhere in the world for free.
Awesome. So suffice to say, you've been around for a
Yes,
bit.
yes. That's yeah. I've been around for a bit, and hopefully will be around for a lot longer too.
Yeah. So I am Sayoshi Nakamario. I've gone by other names in the past.
Oh,
Yeah. Two others at least that I can. Oh, maybe three.
for example.
Nah, they're dead and gone.
Okay.
I've basically
Greg
been.
Maxwell.
Yeah, Luke Jr. Yes. Um, I've basically been a lurker the whole time I've been in crypto. So I've basically been in about the same amount of time you have been. I think it was like really late 2010 or early 2011 when I first learned about Bitcoin.
Wow.
I think it was like a Slashdot article. I don't know. That might have been the very first one I saw. And I think I saw it a couple times over a few months, but like most people that get into crypto, the very common story is you hear about it and then you dismiss it and ignore it for a while until you start seeing it come up again. So first time I looked at it, it's like, whatever, geek money, move on, some nerd project that's never going to work. But then when you start seeing it keep coming up, you start looking into it more. And I was going through basically university at the time for computer networking. And like it was kind of up my alley once I understood what it was trying to do. So from a technical side, I was like started getting super interested in it. And I think I remember probably early 2011, it like syncing up a Bitcoin node using that Bitcoin Core software. And this was when I didn't really know what it was. I hadn't read the white paper yet. And it's like I knew you're supposed to do some sort of mining with this software and it gives you coins. And I remember I built this little computer for my dorm room because I wanted to have like my own little file server and I needed something to do with it because it wasn't doing anything. So I end up finding this Bitcoin thing, download the software, install it, start syncing the blockchain. I don't know what a blockchain is. It's at 54%. I don't have any coins yet. I turned on the thing for mining. It's not doing anything. Whatever. Delete the software.
Oh
Forget about
no.
it. Forget about it for like another 6
Yeah.
months. That could have changed a lot. But yeah, after like coming back to it again after 6 months, it's like start learning what it is and just like got totally sucked into it. I didn't really do any mining or anything after that. I was basically living on loans at the time, going through school. And then I was focusing fully on, because I basically put myself through university. And after university, I was fully focused on just paying off the loan. I hate having debt. So like
Understand.
every cent was going to that. But I was still constantly learning about Bitcoin technology side. I'm not really a coder though, so I didn't really feel like, kind of like you said, like who am I to be talking about this code stuff? Like I don't really understand it fully. I think in high school I took like one Perl class for coding.
Oh.
He's super old, and that's the limit of my coding experience at the time. So, but after working in IT servers, networking for a while. It's like get exposed to scripting and PowerShell and basic stuff and for managing systems. So started getting like a little more familiar with coding and the concepts of it. And after it was probably around the time that maybe 6 months before the fork to BCH, so like 2016ish. I was obsessively reading Bitcoin Talk and BTC, I think, yeah, BTC around that time, and the Bitcoin subreddit. Starting to come out of my shell a little bit and starting to talk in the actual community once the arguments were happening. So I'd made posts on other things since like 2013, 2014, but never really trying to like stand up for anything or talk about these discussions, because around that 2016, 2017, it was going in full tilt, the block size wars. Once it started getting really heated is when I started kind of supporting the big block side, because that's what made the most sense to me.
Right.
Yep. Because, if anybody looks at my Twitter these days, I'm basically just a broken record going on the same thing about
Yeah.
sustainability. So, but yeah, basically, yeah, I started really coming out of my shell at that time. Still wasn't really involved in the community. It was mostly just, me and my girlfriend and wife at the time, same person.
Two.
Transitioned over time.
Yes, of course. I understand this.
Yeah, basically just going on, talking with her about it. So she's like fully up to date on everything, basically. Yeah, once the BCH thing happened, it's like, so you said the SegWit 2x thing, BCH existed before SegWit 2x tried to activate by like 2 months or something, right? Yeah, because it was like September or something was the SegWit 2x. September, October, November,
Uh,
somewhere in there.
there was a different precursor to Bitcoin Cash though that everyone was on board with. Maybe it wasn't SegWit 2x, maybe it was something else, but there was
Okay.
something that was before BCH that launched and then had some bug, and then they immediately launched Bitcoin Cash after it. And I don't remember what it was called, but
Okay. There
somebody in the
was,
comments will say.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm pretty
Yeah.
positive Bitcoin Cash was forked before SegWit 2x, because I remember reading everything about SegWit being ripped out of it and RBF being ripped out of the code base, and then it
Right.
just kind of simmered for a while, and then SegWit 2x failed, and I was one of those
Oh,
people
is
that
that what it
was,
was?
I'm pretty sure, so I was one
Okay.
of those people that was like didn't want the community to fork, but didn't really support BTC, but I was like, okay, SegWit 2x, whatever. I'll support that. I'm positive it's not going to work. Like it's obvious that because they're activating SegWit first, they're not going to do the block size
Right.
increase. So I was just basically waiting for it to blow up.
Well, I thought I was, crazy. Like it seemed so obvious to me. It's like, well, clearly this is the way forward, but because people aren't supporting it, I have to be missing something. There has to be something that is like really important technically that I'm missing. I'm dumb, so I have to be mistaken because
Pretty much.
obviously, right? But yeah, the more I read, the more I understood. No, no, I'm not crazy, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
feels like
anyway,
you're taking crazy pills because everybody's saying
it
other
does.
things online. So,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
also why it took so long for me to come out of my shell, because you see all these people
yeah,
arguing about it and it just doesn't make sense at a fundamental
right.
level, but the people are disagreeing. So yeah, it took a long time, but once that SegWit 2x failed is when I just kind of threw in the towel, and it's like, nope, I'm not doing BTC. It's not what I
Yep.
signed up for. It's not.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, like in the past, it was like transactions were free. Like they weren't going to be free forever, and everybody knew that. But it was all about getting people to use it, and that's how
exactly.
it became sustainable, was usage. So yeah, so I just threw in the towel, and that's kind of when I started getting a little more involved in doing things. I'm still mostly a nobody. I tried to put in a few things here and there, but basically, I saved up some
You're
money from.
someone.
I've I've become a
You're someone.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I basically just decided to save up some money from work for a few years and then try to make the jump to do coding stuff, because I just felt like I could do more for Bitcoin Cash that way. Honestly, with my current job or past job, it was like I was kind of get bored with it anyways. You kind of hit that plateau where it's like everything's just kind of, there's a couple new things coming out, but it's just I'm one of those people that,
routine.
yeah, I keep pushing all the time. And once I get into a position and it's like you're just doing your Monday to Friday, whatever, and nothing really new happens, I start getting bored really quickly. So yeah, that was kind of the plan. Swap over and just try to take a couple of years and learn coding and actually develop some things and try to make it work. So I started up, my first foray into it was doing helpme.cash. And this is mostly because at the time, smart BCH was a thing, EVM
Oh yeah,
side
I
chain.
skipped that. I
Yeah,
skipped that whole chapter.
there's a lot of stuff that happened. That blew up, died, dead, is what it is. Yeah, it's okay. But it did get me to try coding more seriously because it was an EVM sidechain. I looked at Solidity and stuff like that, and I was able to wrap my mind around that a lot easier than trying to do Bitcoin coding and scripting because that's much more low level right now,
Right.
which is getting better. So I jumped into that to help me.cash as a start as just like a directory site for Smart BCH and also Bitcoin Cash itself. So it's just a bunch of random links for projects and stuff people can check out, tutorials, media people. It is not updated as it should be, but you know, it's something. It does get a little traffic, even with me not like updating it all the time, so it's useful for some people. So going from helpme.cash, decided to learn Solidity, trying to get that coding knowledge in. And so I just jumped in and did some basic contracts and then jumped into a contract ecosystem that was way too big and I shouldn't have done it. But took basically a year to wrap my head around it and get it working properly. And a lot of that was also just learning like web development, doing basic website stuff, React and everything. So if I can do all this stuff, I did have a little bit of an IT background, but a lot of this stuff was starting from scratch, basically. If I can do it in like a year or two, anybody can,
So
basically.
can you? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So my current status is did all that learning, and now I'm currently, because Smart BCH blew up and my project doesn't have anywhere to go, I was looking at other EVM chains and just like,
Boo. Boo.
there's a lot of learning that went into that, man.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. But yeah, looking at other EVM chains to launch, which we might still do. You never know. It wouldn't hurt to be on two different types of chains.
How much
But
time do you got?
yeah, I know. I just returned from ETH Toronto, 2023, and wasn't really enthusiastic with how it was, like the community and all the chains that were represented. And the one thing that really stood out to me going to that conference was that it's an Ethereum conference, but there was almost no Ethereum involved. It was all these other chains that are EVM chains. Some of them are layer twos on Ethereum, but it's like Ethereum itself, there wasn't really a lot of focus on. It was all these things that felt like pump and dumps or
Mhm.
other technologies that were crypto but also weren't crypto, and they're like doing their own thing.
Mhm.
And the one thing that stuck with me about that was that uh, cash tokens on Smart BCH, not on Smart BCH, on Bitcoin Cash,
Hey.
it kind of feels like that entire environment with like massive amounts of things going on Ethereum
Yeah,
is because of the EVM ecosystem, which is what cash tokens is for Bitcoin Cash.
right.
It's like just starting that. So from
Crypto
a,
kitties.
yeah, exactly. BCH guru.
Yep.
But
But
yeah, just
CryptoKitties was the first like Ethereum project that I used. I think it was the first time I used Ethereum was CryptoKitties, and that's what inspired me to do it. It's like, okay, what is this thing? How does it work? It's a breeding cats game thing. You buy some NFTs and you combine them together and you get new NFTs and stuff. It's like, okay, I want to try this. That was the only thing that existed at the time, and that was ground floor. And of course, look where we are now. But yeah, cash tokens is basically the at that stage, assuming that it explodes, this is the ground.
pretty
So
much. And that's the thing is it's like
yeah,
money and transactions. That's great. Most people don't care, reality
yeah.
wise. Like, but that like that utility, that random projects that are using the EVM stuff that now cash tokens has in its own form to some degree because we're still wrapping our heads around it basically. It's yeah, just yeah, your ground floor. So I don't know. I just decided that it's probably better just to spend more time, switch over, and just see how it goes. Big risk,
Well, big risk, big reward if it works out.
potentially, potentially.
Yeah.
So part of the Ethrono thing was there was a hackathon involved with it, and I've never done a hackathon before, so I jumped into that with the wife, and we decided to do a game because part of that thing that BCH is lacking is things like the CryptoKitties and gaming and stuff like that. So I'm a big gamer. I love games. If I could have started understanding coding and stuff in school and doing games, I would have done that. So it's kind of matching up multiple faucets that I want to do. And we started development on that, submitted it for the hackathon. It's nowhere near done or anything, but EVM wise, it can connect and save player data and stuff like that, which I'm currently, last few days, trying to wrap my head around with cash tokens.
Ooh.
And yeah, just got my first Hello World contract working basically, and
Hey.
got some small amount of coins stuck in the contract, which I can get them back technically, but I haven't done it yet.
This is on testnet, I assume.
No, of course not.
Oh.
It's tiny amount. It's like 2 cents. I tried to get testnet
Yeah, but
working, but I couldn't get test coins, so I'm like, whatever, I'll just use mainnet.
in 50 years, that'll be like $1 billion.
That's true. You mentioned
Mhm.
buying old things or something in the past that you shouldn't have.
Yep.
I remember buying a D&D player's handbook off of Purse.io,
Nice.
and it may be 2014. I don't remember when Purse launched, or maybe 2013 actually. I remember logging into Purse.io at some point, like way later, and it had your old transactions that you could see. So I think that player's handbook cost me around $2,700 or something when I checked. And
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm worse. Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 BTC, I think, for my Wi-Fi dongle, and I'm going to frame it, I think, because it's probably one of the most expensive things I've ever bought. But at the time, it was $20 or something. So
Was that the first transaction you have ever done?
first
Like buying something
commerce
online?
transaction. Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I really wanted to see, like, if this thing actually worked as money. That was my goal at the time. I needed a Wi-Fi adapter for it was like my Xbox or something. I don't remember. Yeah, I really wanted to test it out, and I was like, of course I could use PayPal, but I had Bitcoin, and so I thought, well, let's see how this works, and if it's safe, and if these companies are all scams, etc. I did, and it worked. It was great. It worked as money. It was completely frictionless. It was fantastic, and that's when I decided to start accepting it in my store as well, because it's like, well, this is so much better than all of this other stuff. So, yep, it
Yeah,
worked.
I think my first one was Humble Bundle. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, little games packages, a lot of indie developer games. I think so. This was like back when they first announced they accepted it, and it was like direct to their own wallet, not through like a BitPay thing. So I don't even think BitPay existed back
Right.
then or was like fully out. But yeah, I just remember doing that first transaction, and it's like you send it, and it shows up like half a second later on their website, and it's like, whoa, that was fast.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Done. Oh.
And then I just imagine the flip side where it's like, oh, Dell stops accepting it, Microsoft stops accepting it, Steam stops accepting it.
Yeah, it was a huge blow, and I really felt at the time like, don't you guys realize we're going backwards? But I think, I believe there are certainly a number of people who had other intentions, probably didn't want Bitcoin to succeed. There's certain people who have agendas. I'm not going to say who those people are or who I think they are. It doesn't matter. But there is a very large contingent of people who believe that the purpose of Bitcoin is not for commerce. The purpose of Bitcoin is just so you get rich later. They believe that's the point of the project. And people will argue like, it doesn't matter what Satoshi wanted. This is what Bitcoin is now. And I guess I agree. It doesn't matter what Satoshi wanted, but it does matter what the project is used for. And at the end of the day, that's really the difference in the philosophies of the BTC and the BCH camps. The people in BTC don't think it's for commerce, and they don't think that anyone in the world should be able to use it. They'll say, oh, they can do lightning, but that's a different story. Why would you want to use your Bitcoin to buy coffee? Just use credit cards. These are the statements that were being said, but that wasn't the point of Bitcoin, and that's not the point of BCH. The point of BCH is to use it as money. It's money. It's cash. You
Mm-hmm.
use it. Just from a philosophical point of view, Bitcoin Cash is what I want the world to have. Do I want to get rich? Yes. Do I think it's possible to get rich using BCH as well? Absolutely. If BCH achieves its goal of becoming global money, people who buy BCH today will be very happy in the future. That's not financial advice. That's a big if. If the price goes up in the future, people who buy it today will be very happy. People who are holding it today will be very happy. That's the same with anything. If for some reason popsicle sticks are worth $1 billion in the future, well, people who have popsicle sticks today are going to be very happy. But the main difference there is people who are working on the project for those two different goals. So I struggle to think of what the people in BTC are working towards. If the point of the thing is to you buy it and then you don't touch it until you retire or you want to buy a house, well, then you don't need to work on anything, because you're just holding it. It's just a pyramid scheme, right? It's you buy it today to sell it to someone else in the future. And of course with BCH, it's you buy it today and you don't need to sell it in the future, because in the future you can use it to buy stuff. You don't need to swap back into fiat. We're replacing fiat. And very different philosophies, and I know which one I think is better. So
Yeah, I'm in this of the same mind with the slight tweak
oh
of
oh
the thing I constantly harp on about is it doesn't seem sustainable to be in that store of value camp where you just hold it and it goes up, because when you look at how Bitcoin was designed, like the actual rules with the miners getting less coins over time, if you don't somehow substitute the fees that they're getting from the coins, it's all going to die.
right,
And that this is where it feels like for a long time I was taking crazy pills, because you look at the
yeah,
design and it needs to be sustainable. Otherwise, the miners just leave, and then the network itself is you can just attack it very easily, and it's not usable anymore. So yeah, I don't know. It's the people that are on that side, I think a lot of it is maybe just ignorance, not knowing that, like looking at that long term design. But I think a lot of the people at the top, air quotes, of it are possibly malicious. Like I wouldn't put it that possibility out. Yeah, I don't know. I just
I,
it
I yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the people at the top there have ulterior motives. I don't know if you saw the article that came out a few days ago about some of the top miners in the world are uh,
BlackRock.
have, BlackRock, but are in the red. They're basically subsidizing Bitcoin mining, and they're in the hole billions of dollars. And the way that mining works is, at least 6 months in advance, you place your orders for whatever new miners that are coming out with the better chips and more efficiency, etc. And you make these orders with the expectation that the price is going to be a certain amount in that time. And then when those orders arrive, you turn them on, because you got to try and make some of your money back. But in the last year, Bitcoin hasn't performed very well, and so many of these massive mining companies, which have investors, etc., are in the red. They've lost billions of dollars, and the next BTC halvening is in April of next year, and so basically the price needs to double. It doesn't mean it's going to. It needs to for
Mm-hmm.
these mining companies to make the same amount of money that they're losing today, right? So it needs to more than double by April of next year for them to be profitable. And that's really scary for the security of the network, especially when you rely on fees. And of course, where do those fees come from? the fees come from transactions. But where are they pushing transactions to? Second layer, which doesn't create any fees for the first layer. So you're pushing the survivability of the network onto a different network. An L2 is a different network. You're pushing the survivability of the network onto a different network and then wondering why your network isn't surviving. It's just, it's at some point it's going to be a death spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to it. So I have my popcorn ready. I got a nice air popper. Ready to go.
Yeah, that's all true. And if you're not going to get fees from mass usage, that means your fees have to come from just more expensive transactions. So the typical argument is that's what'll happen is, the banks will pick up the tab because they're going to be in crypto. So you're going to be looking at, $50 to $100 fees for every single transaction with the blocks always full. And reality, like that's just not going to happen because those entities, those banks and stuff, they're greedy. Like they're not going to pay those fees if they can do it a different way for cheaper. So even if that did happen temporarily, like that's not going to last 50 years. Like they're just going to find some other way to do their stuff at a cheaper price and slowly everything leaves. Well, probably slow and then very fast.
Yes.
But
watch the Bitcoin dominance chart if you're unsure. Anyone who's doing stuff on BTC can do stuff similar on another network, and there's 2,000 other networks now. So yeah, whatever BTC has to keep it at the top is not going to last forever, especially if they don't innovate in some way.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry.
That's normal. This is casual, not scripted.
No, I'm totally following the script. I don't know what you're talking about.
So the constant counter argument to all this stuff is, miners are there's the difficulty adjustment. Sure, some miners will leave temporarily, but the difficulty goes down. They'll come back later when it's more profitable. The problem is it's all short sighted because if you okay, maybe that happens in the next 5 years. What about 15 years? What about 25 years? Then the quote I constantly harp on about is Satoshi saying he expects many transactions or no transactions by roughly 2030. I think it was 2028 technically. And so I constantly bring that up because it's showing that either you have many transactions to cover many, many small fees, or you have no transactions because the network's going to die because it's not going to support lots of or very high fees with a small number of transactions. Will it die 2028 or 2020 or 2030 roughly like suddenly? No, it could keep going, but it's just going to keep going downhill. So all these arguments about, difficulty adjust, it'll be fine. It's like, okay, but shift your horizon out like another 10 or 20 years and can you still say the same thing? And I feel like most people just don't do that. It's kind of like people with big numbers. They just really struggle with big numbers, like thinking how big the universe is and stuff like that. It's like, just I'm not asking that much. I'm just asking for like another 10 or 15 years. Just push it out a little more.
But the number has gone up, so it will always go up, right? That's the hopium, right? So I think there's a big difference between having hope about something. I'm very hopeful that the price of BCH goes up, but there's a big difference between hoping that'll go up and looking at real progress towards something going up. The number of people that are getting into crypto probably will go up. Will they go into BTC first only? Probably not. They're gonna be buying Bored Apes or they're going to be buying fire swords for whatever game. They're going to be in crypto, but they're not going to be store valuing. They're going to be using it for something. And if you can't compete with those people by not innovating, so enjoy your ossified number go somewhere chain because you're not working on making it better. Like there's the big debate, and I really don't want to talk about BTC forever, but there's the big debate going on right now about what is it,
Drive chains,
drive chains, and the other one I keep forgetting. I want to call it CTOR or no It's not CTOR, it's something else. CTV is what it's called.
Okay.
And I forget what it does now, but it was, it was some innovation on BTC, and just got absolutely shot down, uh, because that's a change, right? And you can't have changes. So as far as I know, there's the only two like developments going on. Any other development is on Liquid or some Blockstream product, but as far as like developments on BTC, what is being done, what is being innovated, what is being added, like, yeah, another new lightning custodial Rube Goldberg machine is not inspiring people. How are you going to get people into using Bitcoin when even the conferences and stores don't accept Bitcoin as payment? Um, what is the point of the thing? Oh, the number goes up. Okay, but why? Oh, because it goes up because people want it forever. It's
Yeah,
scarce. Well,
it, it's
no, not
it's starting
really.
to break down though, like the whole
Yeah,
narrative, and like Jeremy from BCH podcast has that good little Twitter thread going on of people from BTC just like
losing their minds.
yeah, and contradicting themselves in certain things now. It's just it seems like the narrative's shifting slowly. Part of the thing that made me really bullish on the cash tokens thing recently was a CoinGeek podcast. Somebody was on there talking about how BCH is doing all these cash tokens things, and there was a BSV podcast, I believe, and they're talking about ordinals, which is what BTC is doing by mistake, basically.
Yeah.
So they have all this whole
And so is
ordinal thing.
SV. SV is doing ordinals as well. There's
Yeah,
ordinals
yeah,
on
that
SV.
that was the thing.
Yeah.
So like the BSV people were talking about how it's you have to do ordinals. They have these other proposals for doing things like NFTs and stuff, but it's like one of them said like, if you have to do ordinals because people are looking at ordinals, and that's what BTC is doing. That's where a lot of activity here is on BSV. So you should do ordinals and not focus on these other ones. And then they got in a technical discussion about two of these different protocols, and talking about how this is getting a little technical, but you have to index all of the tokens, which is like
Right.
a bit of a hassle. But on cash tokens, you don't have to do that because it's directly part of the chain.
The chain.
It's part of the
Yeah.
UTXO. So it's much more Ethereum like in that sense. And they didn't understand when it was explained to them. Like they didn't know that was possible, it sounded like. So it feels like cash tokens with BCH is definitely like breaking into ground, especially on UTXO chains. That's new, and it again going back to that ground floor. So, and yeah, you do not see anything like that happening on BTC. It feels like I do not
No.
follow them massively, but it definitely feels like if you want to get something approved, you have to do an entire song and dance and get the right people on your side, and even then, like nothing really gets done.
Well, there is no system for consensus, right? There's no website that lists the way to get improvements in. There's Bitcoin improvement proposals, and people ack or knack them, but it's not a democracy. It's what is the system? Nobody knows, and I ask people all the time whenever I get in fights with people about BTC and BCH. It's like, okay, well, how are improvements decided for BTC? What is the procedure? What is the way? Oh, well, you develop a thing and it gets added to the code base. No, it doesn't. Somebody decides. Who decides? What is the process? There is no process. So how do you play the game if the game has no rules? Uh, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the drive chains thing that's happening right now is going to be a perfect example of how that plays out, which is not a new example because all this is like a broken record to us, I think, where we've seen all these proposals attempt to get passed in the past with the block size, and
Yeah.
no matter what you say, if they don't want it, you don't get it. This group of people that's involved on the BTC side. So looking at the past, it was always from my view, anyways, and I could be wrong, but I was very obsessed with following everything back then. Um, it was always the big block side that was trying to be the reasonable ones and offering alternatives constantly.
Right.
And none of that was happening from the small blocker side. At most, it was like, maybe we'll do that. And I think that was like the 2 megabit SegWit thing. So it's like some of them are like, okay, maybe we'll do that. But besides that, it was just like, no, 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 no.
I agree 100%. It's the whole, and that's why, Bitcoin Cash exists, because of the classic, like, we'll come over here and we'll compromise. And then when the time comes, they take another step back. It's like, we'll come over here, we'll compromise. And they take another step back. And that's what 2x was, right? It's like, well, let's do SegWit first, and then we'll do 2 megabyte blocks. And
Why is
of
your hand
course,
behind your back?
yeah, right, right. And I think, as far as there was a lot of mistakes made at the time, but I think, whoever made the decision to launch BCH before SegWit activated did a brilliant thing, because it was never going to, they were never going to keep up their end of the bargain. There would always be some excuse.
Kind of a good like overview of us a little bit, and then why BCH exists.
Right.
I guess just a quick plug for myself, I guess. So helpme.cash is my directory site, and then the game I mentioned a long time ago is fogofwar.quests/game, and it is not done at all. But that's the one I released the hackathon. So active development.
Check it out. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next episode.
Whenever
Give
that
us a
happens
like,
to be.
and whenever that happens to be, yeah, give us a like, a subscribe, a follow.
Yeah, we might try to keep this into a regular thing. We'll see how it goes. We both are quite busy with random mini projects, so we will see. But I enjoy doing these. So
yeah, me too. It's up to you guys, though. So if you guys like this wherever you're listening to it, then if we get to our threshold of likes, then we'll do more. But if you don't like it, then we won't do anymore. So it's up to you. Actually, no, even if you don't like it, we'll probably do it.
probably, yeah.
Probably. But we'll
this
do
is for
more
us.
and more often if you like it. So
This is true.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we'll even get some special guests.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
Who's the special guest?
I have
Do we
no
have them
idea.
lined up? Okay.
No idea.
Free Trader's going to come on and talk for the first time.
Hasn't he talked in things before? He's just
Nope.
No, he always types.
Nope,
All right, okay.
Nope. Yeah, there was one introductory video for BCHN, I think, and there was some text to speech thing. It was like, "Hello, this is Free Trader," but no, he's never spoken. His operational security is amazing. He doesn't use anything that requires a phone number, etc. That's why he's not on Telegram. I say he. I'm actually not sure that. He's male, but
he, she, they, it, reptile.
yes, floating grid head, whatever gender that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Free Trader is one of those people that was on Bitcoin Talk back in the day. Same with Shadow and Molecular. Tom Harding, all these people were on Bitcoin Talk back in the day.
It's insane to think how many people back then are still somewhat in this community. Like I was on Bitcoin Talk a little bit back then, but didn't really talk a massive amount. But
no, me neither. But yeah, there are certainly a lot of OGs who believed in the mission of Bitcoin, and because of that stuck to Bitcoin Cash. And then there are other people who believed in the mission but thought that Bitcoin is dead, and so went on to Ethereum. And then there's other people that believed in the mission but thought Bitcoin is dead, and then went on to other coins that they thought had a better chance or better network effect or better technology or whatever. And so if Bitcoin was sabotaged, then whoever was dividing did a pretty good job of dividing. But a lot of us are still united, and we're on Bitcoin Cash. So come join the awesome OG team that shares the original goal and purpose of Bitcoin. We have cats and cookies.
Instant win. And
Yes.
I would just echo that and say that if you need to be convinced, just look at the original design, the original protocol, from an economic sense of how it stays sustainable. And like that by itself doesn't really need to be defended. It's the design works as long as it gets usage.
Which means we need to increase usage, right? So
Yep, you need to increase usage.
And how do you increase usage?
Someone should do that.
But I think, more importantly, I think, increasing usage is by increasing utility, building projects. Satoshi had all these different opcodes built into Bitcoin of things that would help it grow, right?
It originally had poker built into the Bitcoin code.
Right. Right. And some marketplace thing too, as well, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, yeah.
And so these were all ideas that Satoshi had to increase the usage of Bitcoin, and just holding it is not increasing usage. And so if you want, the Bitcoin project to survive, you need to follow and use the one that is usable, and that's Bitcoin Cash. So
yeah, and that's one reason why I'm much on the side of gaming and trying to make it fun and useful in that way. So
I want gaming very much too, but I also want degenerate gambling. So I'm not a gambler. I'm not a gambler myself, but
there's a lot of usage in that realm still.
There's a lot of usage in there. And of course, other projects like, tickets and reward points and all of those things can be done on cash tokens as well. So
yeah,
it's all coming. We've jumped. We were saying goodbye, but now we've jumped topics.
We've jumped straight back in. Yeah.
Save it for next time.
Yeah, it's dangerous getting us together.
By the way,
3 hours later.
Yeah.
I am Bitcoin, I'm not nervous. I'm the tech that changes what society is. I am money, I create freedom, and I'm limited, so I know what my worth is. I don't ask how high the fee is. Got an open, verifiable blockchain. Hashes and transactions I find in my process. I verify what I'm handed, I trust what's commanded. But under the surface, I feel berserk like a keyboard warrior that's suddenly wordless. Under the surface, was Satoshi ever like, yo, I don't wanna fight big banks. Under the surface, I'm pretty sure I'm worthless if I can be of service. A bug or a hack, a line in the stack that breaks the camel's back. What breaks the camel's back? It's both of the fees that'll never stop. Whoa, users that'll leave till we just go bump. Whoa, give it to BCH, their blocks got bigger, and all we got was the stamp ticker. Who am I if I can't scale with the bull? If I fall to payments that are slow, and they just won't go. Whoa, fees that'll grow till it's ready to blow. Whoa, give it to Satoshi, blockchain is stronger. See the users throw away the dollar. Who am I if I can't verify it at all? If I falter under the surface, I hide my nerves and it worsens. I worry a central chain will hurt us. Under the surface, the miners will leave. They need fees, lighting will kill this. Under the surface, I think about the white paper. Can we somehow preserve it? Line up Maxis, yo, electronic gold